Hello, welcome back to the second video of the channel. It was imperative that I uploaded this one because, like I said in my last video, my New Year's resolution was to be more productive and just hit things where they need to be hit. And so I'm going to try and do, or will do or do not, there is no try, Yoda, a daily YouTube video, and this one will be today is Sunday, Storytime Sunday. And then the good thing about this is, because it's always good to do things for a good reason, it adds routine to the week, because every Sunday I will then contribute a story. I hope I've got 52 up here, because it's 52 weeks now. Storytime Sunday. And so this Storytime Sunday, the first ever one, so, in the future, if you've watched all 52, if I'm even talking to someone who recognises themselves as one of my fans, they go, oh, you remember the first one, when he uploaded the first one, blah, blah, blah. And how he explained that it was, do you remember when just yesterday he was explaining that it's Storytime Sunday, and now we wait for it every week, and it's the highlight of our day on Sunday, before you then gotta restart the week. First Storytime Sunday is, I'm gonna label this one New York. So this Storytime Sunday is called New York, and if I knew how to edit it, I should probably timestamp here as when it's starting, or when I do actually start the story, because clearly I'm just going to keep rambling and hope that it just flows well and that I don't have to edit it, because it's just more time. Because basically, if I were to make a lot better YouTube videos, and i.e. if I actually had a decent amount of subscribers, I could put time myself into editing it, or hire, I don't know, if I had the money to pay someone to edit videos for me, or if someone offered, but at the moment it's just like this, as I mentioned in the last videos, and as you've probably gauged if you've watched my last videos, apart from the TikTok compilation, obviously, because I had to edit that one. New York. So I went on first I want to put this out here because it's a really good story when I actually get to it. But I actually used this story, and I'm using it again now, for a TikTok trend that was, tell your favourite 1 in a million story. And obviously my favourite 1 in a million story, well, it doesn't have to be, but mine includes myself. As was the other example, and I saw some guy talk about how he lost his wallet and someone gave him money in a city, and then he found the person in the city again and gave him back their money, and everyone in the comments was like, it's not comments because it's TikTok, everyone in the comments was expecting him to have found his wallet, which would have been an actual 1 in a million story, but as opposed to finding another tourist again in a big tourist destination city. That's obvious, like that's just probability. You can figure that out. But my 1 in a million story in New York is better than that. And I used it on TikTok, and as I quote, I would say the person's name, because that would be a cool little shout out and they'd see that. But I am currently using my phone, so I can't necessarily check, unless I pause it here and then add in again. So I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna shout this guy out because he commented on that video and said, why hasn't this gone viral? Because it's that good a story. And then we'll get to the story, and I should really look at timestamping where it is. So bear with me. Well, it won't be any time difference for you guys. Okay, so his name is Mr. Spooderman Sir. Sir. So Mr. Spooder, as in Spooder, man, and Sir, Sir. Thank you for saying why has this not gone viral. I don't know either. Hopefully it goes viral now, but it's a lot harder to go viral on YouTube and TikTok. That's why I prefer making content on TikTok, because it just finds its way and then people like it. You don't actually have to accrue a following to then get people to see your videos and then, you know, refer them to other people and have it diffuse that way. Key terminology. So, thank you for saying that. I thought we'd go because it's the main story. We're in New York, right? We is my dad and I. We're on holiday in New York. And one day of the 4 days I think we were there, we then go and plan to see the Empire State Building. Go, down. I always remember we stayed at a Holiday Inn on Lafayette Street, if you know there. And I always remember the hotel being really weird. There was a really weird lobby. Obviously, like, the architecture of the interior design and architecture, if you will, of New York buildings is going to seem weird to someone who lived in a seaside town in Britain all their life and then now has moved to a city for university, but it's still quite a small city. Like, if I go to Liverpool or Manchester, I'm like, what is... You know, these buildings are huge. And then, so let alone New York. Like, I can't even remember because it was so long ago. About 8 years ago, in fact. Like, the buildings just being as far as you can see. It's like, it's not that magical, but it is still like, whoa. So anyway, the day that we're going to go see the Empire State Building, we leave the Holiday Inn, we're walking down streets or whatever, and we're probably about a third of the way there, about between a third or half of the way there. And then I don't know why I've just gone flat at that point, because the main point of the story is then I found out I needed to go to the toilet. So I really needed to, and so my dad's like, oh, like, because we're too far to go back to the hotel and just do it there. But I need to go. Like, what else am I supposed to do? It's like, I didn't just need a wee, I needed a number two. So and then my dad's like, oh, we're not going back. So I don't know if I suggested it, but I suggested we go to a Starbucks or something. There's public toilets in there. We go into the Starbucks. My dad's frustrated. He's like, oh, we're supposed to be going to the Empire State Building to go up and see all of New York today. That's that's one of the one things you do as a tourist in New York. It's the day to go see the Empire State Building. And here he is, just waiting in a queue with me to go to the toilet to Starbucks. Anyway, so I queue up. And it's busy because there's only one toilet, isn't there? And so it can get quite congested. There was about 4 people in front, and there was a lady in there for a long time, and I think it came down to, there was a lady in there for a long time. There's a lady in front of me, and then I was waiting. And I think a lot of people had left the queue because this lady was taking such a long time, and we didn't even know if there was anyone in there, to be honest. We were just like, well, what's going on? And so this lady starts knocking. It's like, and then a couple of minutes later, the door starts opening, and this angry lady comes out and goes, "Who's knocking on the door while I'm having a poo?" and her friend was waiting for her, and then they leave. Anyway, blah blah blah. She goes in, comes out. I go in, doing business. Blah blah blah. We leave, we're going to the Empire State Building. Obviously, this has delayed us by about 10 or 20 minutes, maybe more, because obviously I had to do my business, and also the time that we were spent in line waiting. See, that should be cut out, but by the time we get there, and obviously I had to condense this into a TikTok for it to go viral, which it even didn't, but make your own decision on the story. But I think at this point, I'm feeling that this story's been a train wreck, and the way I did it in my head seemed a lot better. But I'm not going to do 2 takes of it, because that's just putting too much effort into it. We finally get to the Empire State Building, blah, blah, blah. And being from Britain, there aren't a lot of events like this that we experience. So we get there, and then the road literally in front of the Empire State Building, the really busy place, not as busy as Times Square, but there's loads of people there, is cordoned off with police tape. And at first we're like, what? Like, what, like, because that just doesn't happen in Britain, like, anyway, and then so there's literally these like Anchorman news cars everywhere, and we're like, this is so weird. And there's like some guy speaking Spanish for like a Mexican news or something, or just the Spanish speaking news in America. And it's so weird. All this seems like a film, or like Superman's just landed or something. And then one of the it got quite chaotic as well, because obviously there was news vans everywhere, and one of these vans like didn't get told to stop and like snapped one of the police tapey things. Chaos, blah blah blah, and we have no idea what's going on at this point. We leave. I think we go and see some other things like Chrysler Building, the Chelsea Hotel. That's just somewhere I remember we went, because that's somewhere. I don't know if you know that. List any other ones, like Times Square, blah blah blah. And then we get back to the hotel room, and we saw on the news, the local news that night, that it turned out there was a shooting in front, I mean, obviously I didn't know how to gauge this, but it wasn't like a mass shooting. It was just one gunman shot someone around the corner of the Empire State Building, literally just around there. And then I think the dead guy got discovered as the gunman had walked in front of the Empire State Building. So someone screams, blah, blah, oh, shoot or whatever, someone's shot this person. So the shooter's got his gun on him. So police see him, and the police effectively... There's a lot of stereotypes about American police, and this is sort of an important video because it's my experience as someone who is British. The only time I've been to America, and what I've experienced then. Not experienced firsthand, but you'll see what I mean. So then, in the one time I go to New York, right, Empire State Building, this guy's got his gun. Like 5 or 6, no, I think there's 3 newly trained police officers. And obviously they must have been, to be fair to them, quite worried because they've seen a gunman. But they effectively just open fire on this guy. They get him, he dies. But they got like several other bystanders as well. And like, if we were stood there, like that's the time that we were supposed to be there. Oh yeah, because it happened just before we got there. So we could have been there. And to be tourists as well, in a country like America where I have no idea what's going on with medical situations in America. And it's a bit of a cliche for British people to think about it. But you can just imagine as tourists, like, I'm pretty sure we would have had travel insurance. I know it's one of those insurances that you think is just a bit, like, pointless, but even then it might not have covered it. But if we'd have been tourists right in there and it got shot, like, I mean, obviously we could have died. None of those bystanders actually died, thank God. Only the gunman died. But obviously they were on the news. Like, I don't know how they got on the news so fast, because they were literally in the studio. That's another bit of a big cliche about Americans, isn't it? But is it, like Anchorman and all that, all the news. But they were like, oh yeah, my got shot in my leg or whatever. But we'd be, if we had to go to hospital, which we would do because we got shot, they just cause all these problems. But anyway, the main point of the story is, if you haven't realised by now, we arrived 10 minutes late, or 20 minutes late, which is the time when it was. And if you haven't figured out why that was, it's because I needed to go to the toilet. So, my need to go to the toilet saved mine and my dad's life. Or effectively, I mean, that's the way I like to say it, but it stopped the risk of that happening. But, I mean, I just think that's the most interesting superpower that anyone can have. I can't think of any other examples where the superpower's actually helped me, but maybe it will at another time. Maybe there are times that I've gone to the toilet and have saved my life or someone else's life in some other way. But anyway, that's the New York story. Like the last video, I rambled on for another just stupid admin. I think in the next video I'm going to talk about my experiences with TikTok and some ideas and theories that just general content. That was a bit of stuff, wasn't it? Just general content that you'll see in the video. I.e., in this one, I talked about how this video didn't go viral, and as Mr. Spooderman Sir said, how has this not gone viral? I don't know, man. I thought that'd go bang, 1 million views, get me some cash over on TikTok Creator Fund. But anyway, that's the end of the story. See you tomorrow.